must not let hate have the last word.
The peace groups promise to maintain their vigil, but it will not be easy. The USANP says it is breaking no laws, just getting ready for the day when the law breaks down. Until then, these white supremacists are using the law to spread their message of hate. In Kensington, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. The problem in Deptford Township is that pig farms like this one are not being inspected. That's because the township has no health inspector. When police drove Anna past this parking lot in broad daylight, they were able to spot a group of about 20 men surrounding a sports car. Anna says she was able to clearly identify 2 of the 3 suspects who terrorized her family. These are the first shootings of any FBI agents in Philadelphia in almost 30 years. Special Agent in Charge Bob Ryder says it is a troubling sign of the times.
They may well have known that they were law enforcement people.
Today's ruling is also a victory for other municipalities in Delaware County. The ruling will discourage all bars and restaurants from going topless as well, unless they are properly zoned. In Upper Chichester, Delaware County, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. You could be sued for damages if you serve somebody under 21 or somebody who looks visibly intoxicated and they go out after the party and cause an accident.
To make sure that I don't get sued, I invite only my close friends.
Through the classified ad, an undercover state trooper arranged to meet a woman inside a motel room. The trooper says there the woman asked for money in exchange for sex. That's when the trooper arrested 27-year-old Sharon Younger. Younger, who was out on $1,500 bail, was seen driving today in her car with a friend. But after spotting our camera, they later drove off.
Without them, I don't know what I would have done.
Many of the homes in this section of South Philadelphia near Vet Stadium were built in the early 50s. Many of the homeowners have been here since the beginning. They consider themselves lucky because they are able to grow old and survive the cold together. The management here says the borough comes out to inspect the buildings twice a year, and there have never been any problems, which leads some residents to question whether the borough inspectors are doing a good job. Here between 18th and 19th Streets, the surf was so heavy that it undermined this driveway, breaking into several pieces. Meantime, next door you can see how the waves crashed into this wooden deck, causing it to break into 2, and how the waves slammed into the side of this home, causing it to cave in. So far, all the fires have a common thread. They take place late at night and under a full moon. Despite those clues, many residents still feel helpless.
And then I heard somebody say, bust him, and it came from out there, and next thing I know, I heard all these shots, and that was it.
According to police and neighbors, a group of young men got into an argument with the owner, who was behind a protective shield inside. Someone from out here threw a soda bottle and hit that shield. The owner came out to investigate. That's when a gunman fired 9 shots into the store. 4 of those shots hit the owner in the stomach and the leg. He died 6 hours later. Florence is home to 10,000 people, the kinds of families who have lived here for generations. But many residents fear that if the landfill expands, the residents will leave.
As far as I'm concerned, the American dream is becoming a joke in my eyes.
It's part of a trend in Philadelphia, thieves stealing entire license plates, or cutting off the corners with the registration stickers, or just scraping the sticker off by itself.
It's being felt in every section of the city. There's no section that's immune from it.
Registration stickers are in high demand because to get one, you have to pay your insurance, and that can be very costly if you live in the city. No insurance means no sticker, and no sticker means you are much more likely to be stopped by the police. Family members then came here on their own to Temple University to search for clues. Right next to the corner of 15th and Norris, they found Susan Thomas's car parked. But they were so anxious that they searched the car before the police arrived, so the police were unable to test for fingerprints. Residents here say this problem symbolizes the plight of the city. Homeowners abandoning their homes and then neighbors leaving their neighborhoods.
You looking for some coffee?
Yeah. It's Saturday night at 17th and Pine. Business as usual. This is one corner where Ed Savitz is believed to have shopped for sex, one of the city's most notorious corners where young male prostitutes sell themselves to perform anal and oral sex.
I charge $20.
What do you do?
I blow you and you blow me.
Anal sex is okay?
Yeah. I got rubbers right here.
Despite the charge against Ed Savitz that he had sex with perhaps hundreds of young men and boys while infected with AIDS, the street hustlers continue to sell sex for money, illegally and dangerously. You got condoms?
No, I ain't got no condoms.
You got no condoms.
I forgot to get some.
Health experts say the average person gains between 5 to 8 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's. This is a time of more intake but less output. So just when we need exercise the most, we're getting it the least.
Nhưng mà hồi cái thằng này nó mới cột lại hai người tại vì Nghiễm nó khóc quá đi.
The nightmare began in this row home in the city's Grays Ferry section after 3 Asian men entered at 5 this morning. Mrs. Chuang Luang shows how she and her 6 family members were tied up at gunpoint and knife point. They were robbed of more than $150,000 in cash and jewelry. The mother told of how she and her 2 daughters were ordered to speak up, or else they would be raped.
You know, your mommy and your daddy put the money where? And he said, I don't know. You have money too? My daughter, no, I have only $3. He said, no, you liar.
Inside their living room, her 2 exhausted boys recover from the ordeal. Their father is in the hospital.
They used the gun and hit the head,
Yeah, hit the head and hit the mouth.
and she's bleeding now.
Yeah, bleeding.
The parents work from this hot dog vending cart, stored in their backyard. These Vietnamese immigrants work 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. They save their money at home because they distrust banks.
Your mommy, good business. I know her.
Mrs. Luong and the police suspect home invaders study their victims well.
They'll look at a prosperous business within a community that they're going through, and they'll even study it for a period of time.
Police say home invasions are crimes on the rise. Irma Pineda gave an emotional thank you to all those who donated money to help her family. About 100 neighbors and city officials turned out at this church to show their support for her husband, Santiago Pineda. Police say he was almost killed by drug dealers when he asked that they leave this corner at 8th and Pike in Hunting Park, where his family lives. As they marched on, the crowd swelled to almost twice the size, with Irma Pineda walking near the end.
¿Qué tú quieres?
She says she wants these corners cleaned up, the graffiti removed, so that all the kids can have a safe community. She wants everyone to fight together, to defend those who stand up like her husband. She also wants the attackers put away for good so they do not terrorize the innocent ones.
I want to live in a better neighborhood where there's no drugs.
It will not be easy in a place where 7 out of 10 students drop out and jobs are hard to find.
When they can make salaries, hundreds of dollars a week and there's no alternative, it's pretty hard to combat, but we'll keep coming out, we'll keep supporting them.
We still going to keep on marching on and just trusting in God that he will work things out for have peace in the neighborhood.
By marching to win back their neighborhood from the drug dealers, supporters of Santiago Pineda are turning one man's calamity into one neighborhood's cause.
No more drugs, no more pain. We don't need your crack cocaine.
In Hunting Park, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Retaliation often follows a mob hit. In this case, one organized crime expert says it all depends on whether Joseph Merlino thinks he has the muscle to fight back, or whether he thinks he has no choice but to make peace.
Mob has never been known for having common sense, and a lot of time this type of thing spurns a knee-jerk reaction where somebody will grab the first gun available and go right into the camp of the enemy.
Investigators found drops of blood. At the end of the trail of blood, police found Charlotte's body buried under stumps and leaves. The autopsy revealed she had been stabbed with a knife 22 times. 16 of those stabs were in the back, which leads police to believe she was running away from her abductor. Last night's shooting was the 3rd mob hit over the past 6 weeks. More proof of the all-out gang war that police have predicted ever since last month's failed assassination attempt against mob boss John Stanfa and his son. Police believe the Stanfa shooting was also ordered by Merlino to get revenge. Earlier, Merlino was shot in the rear, and his best friend Michael Ciangalini was shot dead. Merlino is now in hiding, but his hitmen are on the streets.
They'll usually bring in somebody to do a hit, whether it be they're imported from North Jersey, New York, or Italy for that matter.
Just a few doors away from last night's shooting is a reputed hangout for Stanfa's men. Authorities say this is where Yanni Lanzillotti ran a gambling racket before he was gunned down. Today, no one would come out.
Can someone talk to us?
We also went around the corner to check up on the other victim, Michael Forte, a convicted drug peddler. His son would only say that Forte is resting upstairs and will be all right. Police say both victims are low-level associates of John Stanfa's. They collected street taxes on the same turf that Joey Merlino was collecting. That may be one more reason they were targeted. For now, the police are studying the getaway car. It was found a few blocks from the shooting.
It's a little bit scary. You know, especially if you're walking the streets, you never know what's going to happen.
I was playing down there last night at the same amount of time, so I don't want to be in the middle of it what happens if it happens again.
And it will happen again, police say. The question is, who is next? In South Philadelphia, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news.
And the people in the community need to come out.
After the JBM shooting, many young people in this neighborhood feared coming to this playground. Since Ed Neesmith took over, there have been no serious crimes, and police describe this center as a model for other neighborhoods in the city.
Cheers to Eddie. Eddie's really doing a great job.
Both Wawa and 7-Eleven's parent company in Texas say overall this is a small problem. They say their sales of household paper products make up a tiny percentage of their total sales. No matter what, they say they plan to fix the problem, so we checked for ourselves.
Is there any sales tax on this? None at all.
At this Wawa in Cherry Hill, the clerk did the right thing. He checked with a newly issued memo on paper products.
Okay.
Oh no, they're putting this big sales tax thing on us today. So.
What are they saying?
Some things are taxed, some aren't.
Oh, they changed it today?
I guess.
But not so at this 7-Eleven in Evesham Township.
Are you sure there's supposed to be a tax on it?
Yeah, anything that's not food is taxed.
Anything that's not food is taxed?
The clerk says she does as she is told by her manager, who was not in.
On the way home here at the corner of Cambria and Stillman, young Jovan Brown got into an argument with somebody who had a gun. The gunman shot Jovan twice, one bullet ripping through his chest. That bullet ended Jovan's life, and with it, his dream of becoming a doctor one day.
Very sad.
Rotan Lee says there is no question that Asian Americans must be included in the school district's effort to be multicultural. But he leaves unanswered the question of just how the school board will do that and from where the money will come. In Chinatown, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Lee was murdered in a robbery that netted no more than a few dollars. His 10-year-old daughter, Becky, was in the store at the time. Police have now arrested one man, but Lee's wife wants to sell the store and leave.
If you really want to make a difference, and this death is senseless, clean up these streets. We keep calling ourselves brothers and sisters. That's my brothers and my sister. How can that be your brother and sister that's killing you, killing your own kind? In the river.
Lee's brother, who came on behalf of the family, held back tears. Lee often came to this garden and advised others how to grow vegetables. He also sang praises to God while practicing with his choir tapes.
Sad moment right now for me and for everyone else in the community.
For the man who worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, this is not how his American dream was supposed to end. But the friends and family he touched promised to make sure his life will not be in vain.
Love is stronger than hate. Therefore, help us that we may love one another.
In West Philadelphia, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news.
Trying to get through.
Since early this afternoon, firefighters have been battling some of the worst fires in southern New Jersey. There's been very little rain this dry season, so the pine trees burned fast. The fires raced through empty swamps. The smoke covered the sun, and the winds blew the flames even further. While the dry conditions contributed to the fires, officials have good reason to suspect that arsonists may have caused them.
The fire tower actually was watching as the fires were set, and he saw them pop up one right after the other, so it's pretty obvious that it was arson.
This thing is so great because we proved the experts wrong.
All day long on Sports Radio WIP, fans basked in their team's new glory as National League champions.
I'll give you the best tickets for round 3 and 4.
All right! No matter how long they have to wait or how much they have to pay, these diehard Phillies fans don't care. They have the chance to root for the underdog, to show their pride, and to witness history.
It's worth it. I mean, it could be once in a lifetime. You know, when's the next time the Phillies are going to go?
For the families of the victims, their ordeal is not yet over. Tomorrow morning, the jury will begin deciding how Williams should be punished, either life in prison without parole or death by lethal injection. Police say 1 month after Charlotte Schmoyer was killed, Robinson made his big mistake. He returned to the home of a previous victim. She had been raped and strangled, but somehow survived. Police say Robinson may have returned to finish her off, but this time, police were waiting. Lieutenant Brian Lewis was on stakeout. When he yelled freeze, a shootout erupted. Robinson jumped out a back window, but was captured and has been in jail ever since.
To make sure they get a safe home.
And finally, reporters are grateful for the things that make our work fun.
Oh, what a guy. What a buddy. Now that I've been kissed by the fanatic, I have every reason to be thankful.
Whatever your reason, we hope you too are having a happy Thanksgiving. In Center City, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Camden's event is loosely modeled after Philadelphia's own Make It a Night promotion. Organizers here know this will not be an instant success. For one thing, they will have to overcome the public's image of an East Camden infested with drugs and crime. In response, the police seem to be everywhere, along Federal Street and Westfield Avenue.
What do we want? White power!
Welcome to the USA Nationalist Party, the largest hate group in Philadelphia. I experienced their hate firsthand.
Asians, they're just, I think they're just stupid.
Oh, Asians, they're buying up a lot of stuff.
I don't like them, I mean, I know you're Chinese or whatever you are.
And it's not just me they hate.
Hispanics, they're drug dealing, lowlifes, basically.
The Holocaust was a complete hoax. 6 million did not die, maybe 6,000.
The Jews own all the media. The gays, they corrupt, and they corrupt kids. They spread AIDS.
When our comrades come from the Midwest, we don't have to take them to the zoo, we take them to North Philly.
Meet Ryan Wilson. He's the 27-year-old leader. Using his skills in advertising, he started the Nationalist Party about 3 years ago. He did so because he got sick of America's urban decay.
Every major metropolitan area is being destroyed by minorities.
Wilson runs his meetings from this private home. He asked us not to say where the home is. We can report that the clubhouse is in Kensington. Police say this is from where half of the city's racial complaints stem. This working-class part of town is in economic decline. Many of the old factory jobs are gone. Minorities have moved in, whites have moved out. Just the kind of terrain from which the group recruits skinheads like this man.
White's beautiful, black isn't beautiful, black's a disgusting, ugly color.
I think that there is an inherent racial characteristic that causes their criminal behavior.
Some members live in South Jersey and come from the middle class. This 20-year-old woman went to college for 2 years, got married, and now works in sales.
Blacks, Jews are destroying our country.
My anger is more at ignorance.
Sister Eileen McNally works with minorities who find racist graffiti painted on their homes.
The truth of it is, it's not necessarily because maybe you moved in, but what moved out, be it businesses or manufacturing.
But her logic has no place in this party.
I want you to get as many members as you can. I want you to compete.
Brothers Keith and Chris Hines can roll out of bed and go to work right next door at the tire shop they now own, thanks to a man they call their second dad.
This has a nail in it.
Don Fagan has fixed flat tires here since 1950. He often works 6 days a week. But now at age 70, he is turning over his shop to the 2 workers he treats like his own blood.
See, I have no sons, and they're honest, and they work hard, and they're clean cut,
Fagan knew the brothers had no money, so last year he made them a deal. If they could each pay $100 a month for 1 year, they could own the inventory. Today, the brothers have paid up, but they have mixed feelings.
You kind of wish time would, simmer down a little, because you kind of miss them.
Despite drugs and unemployment hitting this neighborhood around 16th and Glenwood Avenue, Don Fagan's tire shop has stayed strong for 42 years. It's an example any business can learn from. Don Fagan charges $3.50 a tire. That's about 3 times less than many rivals. And Fagan, who grew up half a block away, believes his shop must stay open, or else good people will go jobless.
He's concerned with you and your well-being, and, he inspires you to do good.
Fagan even gave his extra home next door to Keith and Chris, who have since restored it.
It's the best man I ever met in my life, other than my father, and I always miss him. He always here in my heart.
As the brothers lock up their business, Don Fagan can now relax, knowing his old shop is in good hands. In North Philadelphia, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Coming up, contract talks are going down to the wire for telephone workers who threatened to strike at midnight. Amid growing outrage, a Serbian leader says the Red Cross can inspect Bosnian detention camps. A man is killed by the Brooks Guards he tries to hold up in South Philadelphia. And the QE2 finds herself in a royal mess just offshore one of the colonies. It's all next on the 10 o'clock news. Good evening, everyone. I'm Farland Chang. Here's what's happening. President Bush says nothing has been ruled in or out to deal with the situation in Bosnia. Efforts are being made to get the Red Cross into detention camps to check on conditions. Meanwhile, the worldwide outcry over alleged atrocities grows louder.
British UN soldiers move out.
Serbian rebels have turned over 2 American mercenaries to U.S. officials in Belgrade. 25-year-old Colton Perry of Virginia and 22-year-old Marin Pesha of Livingston, New Jersey, had been members of the Croatian army. They were captured by the Serbs in March after fighting broke out in northern Bosnia. United Nations weapons inspectors in Iraq were forced to wait 1 more day before getting to work. Saddam Hussein declared today a national holiday celebrating the 4th anniversary of the end of the Iran-Iraq War. While Iraqis celebrated, the UN team was confined to its hotel. Inspectors say they will conduct several surprise inspections during their mission. Meanwhile, military exercises between American and Kuwaiti soldiers continue. Kuwait's Crown Prince is calling on the UN to respond quickly if Iraq continues its defiance. In South Philadelphia this morning, 3 Brooks armored car guards shot and killed a man after he tried to rob them. Dead is Ernesto Torres. Police have questioned and released Torres' 12-year-old nephew, who was with him at the time. As Richmond Area reports, the attempted holdup happened at a shopping center just before most of the big Saturday crowd showed up.
When 2 Brinks armored car guards tried to make their routine pickup at 915 Rising Sun Avenue, for armored car guards, there is no longer such a thing as a routine pickup. In Hunting Park, Richmond Area, the 10 o'clock news.
Philadelphia police have charged a 27-year-old crack addict with murdering an elderly friend Wednesday night. Karen Groom is being held without bail. Police say 70-year-old Rose Marie Phillips caught Groom trying to rob her home Wednesday night. After a scuffle, Groom allegedly stabbed Phillips. Phillips' body was found in her home by her sister. Phillips was a pioneer in the field of suicide prevention. Philadelphia police and the radical group MOVE had their first confrontation 14 years ago today. On August 8, 1978, 1 police officer was killed. 9 MOVE members were sentenced to life in prison for his murder. MOVE leader Ramona Africa led a march today by the site of the showdown and then on to City Hall. MOVE is calling for the release of what it calls political prisoners.
My family has been in prison unjustly, and it's long past time that, serious steps be taken to, gain their release.
Farland Chang is at the airport now. He joins us live with the latest. Farland?
Rich, the taxi protest started just after sunrise today. Since then, many folks have had to rely on the limo and shuttle services behind me. At this hour, one porter says the wait for those services is about 30 minutes longer than normal. The taxi cab drivers expected this, and they vow to continue for as long as needed.
About 60 taxi cab drivers staged this motorcade from the airport to Center City to protest a new exit fee of $1.50. The airport says the fee is needed to pay for the cost of managing ground transportation services. That includes dispatching taxis.
We are one of the last airports in the country to impose an egress fee. Our limousines have been paying a $1 egress fee for the last couple of years.
We don't want to pay $1.50 and don't get anything for it.
The drivers say they might pay the fee if the money is used to improve their conditions. They now park in a holding area with no shelter and only outdoor toilets. In response, the airport says it may agree to build a concession stand here. The cabbies are also upset about being told by state regulators what to charge. That's because riders have complained about getting ripped off. From now on, cabbies can only charge $20 for a trip to Center City.
The $20 was put in as a flat rate so the airport can get $1.50. That's right. That's the bottom line. It isn't to protect the passengers.
The taxi drivers are also blaming their competitors, the airport shuttles and limo services, which are allowed to solicit business inside the airport. Cabbies say that leaves them with only the low-fare trips. In response, some limo services accuse the taxi drivers of charging the highest fares in the country.
They don't have to pay for a medallion. They don't have to pay this high insurance. They don't have to change their vehicles. They don't even have regulations.
As a compromise, the airport is studying whether to allow cabs to compete inside as well, or to kick out all services. Either way, the cabbies do not have great bargaining power. Most travelers use their own cars, or they rent a car. Only 5% of airport travelers use cabs.
Tomorrow, you can still call a cab to take you into the airport, but coming home, you should look for an alternative. Meanwhile, the cabbies here say that if they don't get their way, they will call on all 1,400 cabbies in the city to join in their protest. I'm Farland Chang, reporting live from the airport. Back to you, Tracy.
All right, Farland, thank you.
Critically wounded. Tonight, the FBI and police have joined in the manhunt for the 3 gunmen who got away.
Farland Chang joins us with the story from University City. Farland?
Jill and Lee, the victim is 38-year-old Keith Creelman of Honeybrook, Chester County. He is in critical but stable condition, going through surgery at the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania. He has suffered 2 gunshot wounds. The first one went through his left hand and is now lodged in his left chest. The second one entered just below his left eye and is now in his neck. All this pain from an armed robbery that lasted just a matter of seconds. Police say 2 men who look almost like twin brothers wearing the same black baseball cap were killing time for about 15 minutes inside this drug emporium. Suspects were trying to copy the recent armored car robbers in upstate New York. As investigators search for his attackers, Keith Creelman is still in surgery. His wife, his children, and his pastor have been at his side, standing by, praying that he will live. I'm Farland Chang, reporting live at the University of Pennsylvania. Back to you, Lee and Jill.
Okay, Farland.
Thank you, Farland.
So far, all the fires have a common thread. They take place late at night and under a full moon. Despite those clues, many residents still feel helpless.
For the very latest on conditions in South Jersey, we check in with Farland Chang, who is standing by live at the Cherry Hill Mall. Farland.
Jacqueline, it is cold and we're getting a little bit of a mist right now. In South Jersey tonight, many businesses, including most of those here at the Cherry Hill Mall, were shut down. But there are signs that there is life coming back to South Jersey. At the Moorestown Mall, workers have been plowing since 5 this morning, clearing away about a foot of snow from the parking lot.
We expect to work through the night, and we should be about done by maybe tomorrow afternoon.
There was some sleet and freezing rain during the rush hour, but the commute was not too bad. Over in West Hampton Township, Cynthia Johnson waited for the precipitation to end around 6:30 tonight before digging herself and her truck out of her driveway.
Out of breath, back hurt, feet cold.
For Officer Rodriguez of the Lumberton Police, the night shift so far has not been as bad as first expected.
We didn't have many accidents. Like I said, a lot of people decided to stay home, which helped us out a lot.
We are back live now where you can see workers at the Cherry Hill Mall, just like those at the Moorestown Mall, are trying to get their malls reopened by tomorrow morning. In fact, the Cherry Hill Mall hopes to make up for lost time by extending their hours on Sunday night. As for the roads, they're not bad, but they can still be kind of tricky. We got stuck when we ran into a big patch of snow. Also, on I-95 and the Atlantic City Expressway, state police are asking all drivers, in fact, restricting all drivers, to stay under 35 miles an hour. So take it slow and be careful. I'm Farland Chang, reporting live in Cherry Hill. Back to you, Jacqueline and Jill.
Thanks, Farland.
And this mess is expected to continue for the next week to 10 days. Farland Chang is live now in Center City with the latest on the conditions and how some people are trying to get around.
Jill, I'm here at 4th and Market, and it seems like deja vu all over again. If you look below, you'll see the sidewalks have once again become a skating rink. Conditions are very dangerous, and they have gone from bad to worse all night long. By 5:30 tonight, the latest ice storm to hit the Delaware Valley forced Reggie Jones to scrape ice from his car for the second time today. For this postal delivery worker, the storm is a reminder of the most miserable winter he can recall.
I'm disgusted. I work in it each and every day and I'm fed up.
The roads are dangerous tonight around his neighborhood in southwest Philadelphia, and throughout the city there will not be much relief because the city's resources are exhausted.
Salt supplies in the city are extremely low, and it is not likely that we will have sufficient salt to salt the roads for tomorrow morning's rush hour.
1 hour later, conditions only get worse as you drive out west on the Schuylkill Expressway into the suburbs. Tomorrow, the storm could bring about power outages as trees heavy with ice fall on power lines. PECO has equipped its trucks with chains on their tires to help crews move quickly, and it has called on even more neighboring utilities to help out, just like the last ice storm.
Well, the indications we've gotten so far is that there's the potential for that.
We are back live now. You can see the ice getting very hard and slippery. You can see it beginning to cake up over here. Now, the situation with state and city employees is this. The state employees are asked to show up 2 hours late for tomorrow. The city is more optimistic. The city is hoping the situation will improve, so city offices are expected to open. Whatever you do, be extremely careful. I'm Farland Chang reporting live. Back to you, Steve.
All right, thank you very much, Farland.
The name Ed Savitz is new to many people tonight, but it was well known by a lot of people all over the city long before.
Farland Chang has found some of the people who know or know of Eddie. He joins us from Northeast Philadelphia with that story. Farland?
Lee and Jill, first let me tell you that I'm here at the Philadelphia Detention Center where Ed Savitz has been released on bail. We learned a few hours ago that he posted his $300,000 cash bond. Earlier tonight, we did gather some stories about this man known as Uncle Ed. We learned that even though he lives in Center City, his alleged sexual deviancy extends far beyond.
In Southwest Philadelphia, some of the children playing at St. John Newman High School have heard stories about Uncle Ed.
He gave him money for clothes, like, that's all I heard.
What kind of clothes?
Underwears and socks and all, that's all.
20 blocks away in South Philadelphia, the stories continued.
If they go to the bathroom in the pizza box, and they get money for it.
If they go to the bathroom in a pizza box, they get money for that. How much money?
$10.
Uncle Ed is also known at 13th and Sansom, outside an X-rated theater that shows all-male movies. Here we spoke to one male prostitute named Joe.
I can give you your story and your information if, make a donation.
We did not pay for him to speak, but Joe did say this much. He was picked up off the streets by Uncle Ed to perform oral sex. Joe says he did not know Ed had AIDS, but he learned that later. Since then, he has taken the AIDS test every 6 months. Joe says it's possible Uncle Ed took some of his partners here to Fairmount Park along the Schuylkill River. One neighbor says it gets busy when the weather warms up.
People who appear to be male prostitutes, picking people up. Cars from Pennsylvania and New Jersey go around the block, cruise around the block, picking the men up. Sometimes they'll park down the street and disappear off into the park.
She says up until now, neighbors viewed this as a victimless crime. Today's news changes that.
Our reliable sources have told us some more aspects about Uncle Ed. First of all, he has other names, such as Footsie and the Foot Doctor. Sources say that's because he supposedly recruited some groups of young people and paid them to smell their feet. Another aspect is that he is supposedly gathering all his various activities and collecting them in a diary. And finally, the sources believe that he may have been involved in his deeds since 1979 for the past 13 years. That's the latest from here. I'm Farland Chang, reporting live. Back to you in the studio.
Okay,
all right, thank you, Farland.
Farland Chang is standing by live from a fire station in West Philadelphia. Farland?
Rich, I'm here at the home of Engine Company 5, Ladder Company 6. Some of the men here responded to the fatal fire this past weekend that killed a baby, her mother, and her grandmother. The leader of the firefighters union says many more people will be dying if the mayor tries to save money by cutting the force.
Philadelphia firefighters now work in crews of 5 people, but Mayor Rendell is expected to propose the permanent shrinking of those crews to 4 people. That would save the city an estimated $5 million a year. But the leader of the firefighters union says that would make the city criminally negligent.
The city fathers care nothing about our problem.
Is against the good of Philadelphia. Will continue to go downhill.
The firefighters union says that studies of other big city fire departments show that 5-member crews will save cities in the long run in terms of fewer deaths and fewer injuries. The union is fighting its case in arbitration with the city right now. It's also ready to go to court. The mayor gave no comment tonight. He gives his budget address tomorrow night at 7. I'm Farland Chang reporting live in West Philadelphia. Back to you, Rich and Jill.
All right, Farland, we'll keep you posted.
A topless bar in Upper Chichester in Delaware County is back in business, at least for now. Farland Chang reports live on the latest developments surrounding Delilah's Dolls.
Jill, 3 months ago it opened. Last month it closed. Tonight it is open again. The reopening of Delilah's Dolls comes after a Commonwealth Court judge issued a new order today.
I hope Delilah's Dolls stays open for a very long time.
Monique and the other topless dancers at Delilah's Dolls are back, thanks to a Commonwealth Court judge who ruled that the business should not have to lose $15,000 a week while its appeal is being reviewed by the court.
I think it's a slap in the face for the neighborhood.
How come?
Well, I think it's downgrading the neighborhood.
Billy Howard and the Twin Oaks Farm Civic Association and Chichester Township worked hard to shut down the club last month. A judge ruled that Delilah's Dolls lacked the required zoning in this residential section. But the club appealed. The owners argued that the previous club here also had entertainment, though not of the topless kind.
Because we're Delilah's, and we run a clean operation.
There's nothing sexual here, it's just a good time. We're like a show. We're classier than Madonna, okay, but, and we don't say as much as Beavis and Butthead.
Today, the judge ruled that this matter is not so grave that Delilah's Dolls must be closed while the court reviews this case. Inside, the manager refused to allow pictures, but these pictures from a sister club, Delilah's Den, depict part of the show the dancers perform.
You know, the gentlemen still aren't allowed to touch the girls, and the girls aren't allowed touching gentlemen, and we don't solicit anything.
We're all here just to make money, that's all. Dancers are here to make money. Bartenders are here to make, I'm here to make money.
There are a lot of kids, and it's not good for them.
We are back live now where business is brisk and picking up. Now, next month's court decision is virtually a must-win for Delilah's Dolls to stay open. If the club loses, it'll have to seek special zoning from the zoning board. And there, the public outcry will be hard to defeat. I'm Farland Chang, reporting live in Upper Chichester. Back to you, Steve.
All right, thanks for keeping us posted, Farland. Farland Chang joins us now from the newsroom with the details. Farland?
Lee, the victim knew that trouble was coming. In fact, she had recently sought court-ordered protection to stop physical abuse. But that court order did nothing to stop a rejected boyfriend from causing injury and death.
Police examined the blood-stained parking lot where 29-year-old Pia Peretta was shot in the head. She had been on her way to her job as a hospital clerk carrying her bags when her ex-boyfriend appeared and fired his shotgun. Peretta's colleagues rushed to her side.
There was so much trauma sustained to the face that I had to run back into family medicine to get an artificial breathing apparatus just in order to maintain the patient's breathing way.
Her ex-lover fled the scene in this car, and if convicted of stalking, he could have faced a 7-year prison term. But as it was, Boyd stalked Peretta even after she got the court order.
She reported to co-workers that he was out there, Mr. Boyd, her boyfriend, was out there in the parking lot again, and apparently expressed fears for her safety.
And that's all she could have done, the DA says, until the law is changed.
Now, the victim here is not alone. The number of women seeking protection from their abusive partners has been on a dramatic rise. 9,000 in the past year. That is up by almost 2,000 compared to the year before. Meantime, the victim is in critical condition still. She is not expected to survive. I'm Farland Chang reporting live. Back to you, Lee.
All right, thank you very much, Farland.
This is where many of your fortune cookies all begin. The Chinese cookie factory in Chinatown. Kenny Ewan's father started the business.
A few years ago, my father decided he wanted to quit the restaurant business. He was just tired of working in a restaurant. You know, being that immigrant and not really conversant in the language, there wasn't really that many options for him.
To the Ewan family, it is a business. 50,000 cookies a day. To the customers, it is a tradition that started in America.
You know, they taste a lot like ice cream cone, and the truth of the matter is they have some of the same ingredients.
And where do these fortunes come from that say you will inherit a large sum of money? And who writes them, especially the ones that start out, Confucius says?
To tell you the truth, I think it's somebody who flunked 5th grade English who writes them, because some of them are just so corny. It really embarrasses me.
Ewan says his supplier in Boston is getting better, but Ewan wants to see new messages about the danger of drugs and the need to clear up racial misconceptions.
Now, I'm really hoping that someday I can get some sort of printing operation together and write them myself because, you know, I seriously think I can do a much better job.
Kenny Ewan knows that his family's fortune cookies will not change the world, but at least they can provide a little more food for thought. In Chinatown, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Mercer County chose to build in Trenton not just to bring back jobs, but also to bring back a tradition of baseball. Back in 1951, Trenton said goodbye to its last minor league baseball team, the Trenton Giants, featuring a player named Willie Mays. The people of Trenton are hoping this new field of dreams will bring back the glory days.
We need Klingons.
As Deep Space Nine takes millions of Star Trek fans all over the world onto yet another voyage, the show also promises to take them onto another shopping spree.
You want to buy pins, you want to buy t-shirts, you want to buy sweatshirts.
With today's ruling, the battleground for the abortion debate now turns to city and state governments. Abortion rights activists here in Philadelphia are hopeful that City Hall will pass a new law next month that will better protect a woman's access to abortion. Police are hopeful that with so many sources contributing to this case, the fourth and final suspect will be arrested soon. As one officer said, he can run, but he cannot hide. In Overbrook, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news.
I had nothing to do with any crimes against Mrs. Reinert or her children. Nothing whatever. Nothing whatever.
As Jay Smith prepares to move in with his brother in Wilmington, Delaware, the state attorney general is denouncing his release. He calls it yet another example of the national trend in which state courts are giving too much power to criminal defendants. In Lemoyne, Pennsylvania, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Unions also hope the public will not believe the first thing they see and hear as the final word. So who did provoke the clashes? The union pickets or the people crossing the lines? It appears there is no indisputable truth, even when videotape was present. So it may be left to the courts to decide what really happened. In Center City, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Polls show that interest in this year's election is the highest in many years, and experts say the closest races will be determined based on which side does a better job of getting out their vote. In Center City, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news.
We're all in this thing together, from all walks of life. You know, don't matter where you're from. It's where you're at right now.
It'll bring me up and my spirits back up so that I can start over.
On December 30th, Upper Darby Zoning Board is expected to approve the measure for the shelter. If that happens, it will make life easier for the homeless and the churches. It will also move the problems of the homeless farther away from the center of Upper Darby. Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. This is the kind of violence that flares up all too often on the mean streets of Hunting Park. Two men arguing over drugs, the weapons quickly evolve from fists into an aluminum bat. But this time, undercover police are at the right place at the right time. They arrest the alleged drug dealer, and the victim survives one more day. The police presence has created a greater sense of security here for now. But when the police leave, many residents fear that the drug dealers will quickly return to business.
Somebody will wind up getting shot.
Now that's fresh nectar that they're putting in.
The mite problem poses a potentially serious threat to Pennsylvania's agriculture industry. If the mites continue to decimate the beehives here in Chester County and throughout the state, millions of dollars worth of fruits and vegetables may never be produced.
Feeding the world is one of the biggest problems in the world today.
Critics say Baltimore's Police Evaluation Board could be even better if it includes civilians. A bill in the state Senate would add 4 new civilian positions to the board, and that bill is expected to pass this summer. Police officers here are pleased that Willie Williams will bring community-based policing to Los Angeles, but they warn that it can only work if police officers practice it not just from the top down, but also from the bottom up. In North Philadelphia, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Now that the world's largest supplier of cocaine has lost its base here in Philadelphia, the supply of cocaine on the streets has fallen. But if nothing is done about the demand, then authorities worry that new groups will try to fill the vacuum. The street hustlers continue to sell sex for money, illegally and dangerously. You got condoms?
No, I ain't got no condoms.
You got no condoms?
No, I forgot to get some.
While that hustler forgot his condoms, the same mistake may have cost another hustler his life.
If you don't pick me up, don't pick that dude around the corner up.
How come?
Because he's got AIDS.
This 3-car accident on Lincoln Drive will benefit only the body repair shops that are already backlogged with business. Things were bad, but they could have been worse. For one thing, the roads around Center City were mostly slushy and free of the slippery ice that made walking so treacherous before.
You don't have to worry about sliding.
Today's ruling is also a victory for other municipalities in Delaware County. The ruling will discourage all bars and restaurants from going topless as well, unless they are properly zoned. In Upper Chichester, Delaware County, Farland Chang, the 10 o'clock news. Brothers Keith and Chris Hines